Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. We had another really big week for the market. Now, last weekend we kind of took a break from high-level standard events, and we had two modern GPs go on. And as you can imagine, that had a really big impact on the modern market. As a matter of fact, not only did it impact cards that are modern legal, but it also impacted many standard legal cards. And we're going to take a look at those today. As far as standard goes, a little bit of a pause button in the meta, considering we didn't have as many high-level events last weekend. So where we left off a couple weeks ago with Golgari being strong, still pretty much the case. Okay, quickly before we get started, if you check out the description below, you'll find some links to our Amazon affiliate store. That's one great way to help support the channel. And basically what that is, it's a compilation of links to Magic products on Amazon, all kind of put together in one place. And if you go through these links and you make any purchases through any of the sellers that are there on Amazon with those products, a small percentage will come back to help support the channel. It really goes a long way. I do want to say thank you quickly to all the folks who have pre-ordered their Modern Masters 2017 booster boxes through those links. I can't tell you how much that helps the channel. And if you haven't picked one up yet and you're planning on doing so, even if you don't go through my links to get one, I would consider picking one up sooner than later, because right now the prices are very fair on them. They're about $180, $185, and that's pretty much unheard of when you compare that to other Masters releases in the past. Secondly, like I said, you'll find our links to Patreon, and you can check out the details there as to how to get an exclusive Heroes and Legends full art, classic art angel token like you see on the screen here. Okay, now that that is out of the way, let's talk about the cards for this week. And we're going to begin with standard. And here's the top 5 standard cards that have lost value this week. Coming in at number 5, Heart of Kiran, down 80 cents to $23. Not a huge surprise on this one, quite honestly. We've been watching this slowly tick down every week, and it's going to continue to do that as more packs get open. Here's the deal. It's still a great card. It's still going to see plenty of play in standard, probably during its entire lifetime in standard, quite honestly. But when you're looking at $23, even for a mythic in a set that's being opened as rapidly as Aether Gold is currently being opened, you got to expect this card to slowly tick down. I can see this eventually settling into a $15, $18 card, maybe within a few months from now. Coming in number 4 is Tezzeret the Schemer, down 84 cents to $8.76. Now, this has been on our countdown for a number of weeks now. And again, Tezzeret just hasn't found a foothold in this current meta. The raw power is there, and the fact that there's a close connection lore-wise between Tezzeret and Nicol Bolas makes me feel like perhaps there's a chance that there'll be better support cards coming up for this card in Amonkhet. So that's something to watch. You can probably pick this card up cheaper than you're seeing it on the screen here, quite honestly, in a lot of the big marketplaces, because it has continued to go down every single week. There's probably some people trying to liquidate. But if you can find this at some point, maybe around $5, $6, I would probably pick up a playset just to have on hand for the future, just in case. Coming in at number 3, Nissa, Voice of Zendikar, down 92 cents to $12.98. She's been increasing every week. She's actually gone up quite a bit over the last few weeks due to her success in the format right now. And she's stabilizing a little bit. Probably no real surprise. Again, a lot of Oath packs have been open. I anticipate she'll continue to go down at this point and probably settle in somewhere around the $8 mark. Coming in at number 2, Torrential Gearhulk, down 92 cents to $22.29. Quite honestly, I think this card is still a little overpriced considering the amount of Kaladesh that has been opened. This card is still very good. It's still going to see standard play going forward. There's still some interesting control builds out there. This card's not going anywhere, but as time goes on, especially when you have other options where you don't have to buy into this card anymore to be competitive in standard. I mean, there was a time with Blue White Flash where it felt like there were very few options, but that's not the case anymore. So you can do other things and you don't have to use this card, and you can have basically tournament winning decks still. And because of that, I anticipate this will continue to drop. Again, I see this settling in more around the $15 range at some point. Saheeli Rai, down $2.31 to $15.57. She's continuing to go down at a pretty rapid clip. I mean, she spiked really hard prior to the Pro Tour. There was a lot of speculation about Copycat. Unfortunately, Copycat just got decimated on camera by Mardu Vehicles during the Pro Tour. But here's the catch. Mardu Vehicles now having struggles with these Golgari decks, which means you're going to see less of the field playing those decks. It does cause the effect that there may be a window open now for Copycat decks to start to make a comeback. Now, if that's the case, I don't really see huge changes for this card, though, due to the fact that, again, it did grow a lot due to hype at the time, and it was due to maybe some unnatural inflation due to all the attention it was getting. And secondly, again, a lot of Kaladesh packs have been opened at this point. So I do think regardless of what happens, even if the deck does bounce back, this will continue to drop a little bit. I think she'll settle in, if the deck's successful, still settle in between $10, $12. All right, let's look at the cards that gained value this week in Standard. And like I said at the top of the show, Modern is definitely a motivator for some of these cards anyway. All right, first we have Blooming Marsh, up 10 cents to $7.34. It's not a huge increase necessarily. And of course, this is seeing plenty of play in Standard. It's showing up in Delirium decks, showing up in the aggro versions of Golgari as well. I mean, Golgari's just hot right now, so Blooming Marsh completely makes sense on that level. However, what you might have missed if you're not following Modern is the fact that this is seeing tons of play in a lot of places. Abzan decks, Jund decks, Tron decks, Lantern Control, Elves, they're all running this card. And the fast lands, they're really the real deal. I mean, the previous ones see Modern play. The new ones are seeing Modern play. So here's the deal. Yes, a lot of these have been open. They're at rare. They're probably everywhere at this point in the marketplace. If you don't have your playsets, though, especially this one, pick them up. This is the time to do it because you're not going to find the prices on these any lower probably than they are right now, quite honestly. And this one is super hot. I actually think $7. You can probably still find this for $6, $7 in a lot of places. I think is a steal for this card. So don't let these pass you by and start to inflate on you as time goes on. Pick up these fast lands when you can. Coming in number 4, Gonti, Lord of Luxury, up 13 cents to 86 cents. So very cheap, and Gonti's looking great in these Energy Golgari builds. So if you don't have a playset on hand, just in case, they're real cheap to pick up. I'd probably just go ahead and do it. Coming in number 3, Paradox Engine, up 23 cents to $9.49. Now, this card hasn't broken through into any big Modern or Standard builds yet at this point, but what's driving the price here is Commander. It's really doing well in Commander decks. And I do think success in other competitive formats will eventually follow at some point, whether that be Modern and or Standard. So I don't think you're going to find this card cheaper than it is right now. Some marketplaces, you can probably pick these up for $7, $8 maybe if you look real hard. But you know what? I'd be okay paying $9, $10 for this. I don't think it's going to really waver that much. Yes, more packs will be opened, which will keep it steady for a little while. But I think over the long term, due to the fact that this is a card that I really believe will break through into competitive format at some point, but even if it's just on the back of Commander players, this card could still do pretty well in the future. Coming in at number 2, Liliana, The Last Hope, up 37 cents to $37.78. So yes, of course, Liliana is still seeing Standard play. Some of those Golgari decks, as well as a Rakdos Zombie deck, will run her, so you see her out there. But again, Modern having an influence on this card. And this card's seeing a lot of play in Abzan decks, Jund decks, and also Death Shadow decks. Death Shadow had a really good showing at GP Vancouver this weekend. And I'll say both GPs, and I did a video on this on Tuesday, but they were very diverse. I mean, the Modern format looked really, really healthy over the past weekend. Now, having said that, Death Shadow did look especially impressive on camera. Got a lot of coverage last weekend. So some of these Death Shadow decks, and it was one of the decks that won one of the GPs, the one in Vancouver. So you will see some interest definitely in Death Shadow cards this week. Traverse of the Ulvenwald, up 39 cents to $2.86. Speaking of Death Shadow, guess what? Here's another card that's in that deck. So again, probably moving the needle more so from Modern this week than Standard, but this does definitely see play in the Delirium deck as well in Standard. All right, let's move on to Modern and see how the market has been impacted by this previous weekend of events. And we'll start off with the cards that lost value with Future Sight Tarmogoyf at number 5, down $2.08 to $137.87. A couple of reasons for this. First off, there's a pretty big disparity between the value of this one and the two Modern Masters versions. Now, a lot of people do like this original version with the Future Sight card frame and stuff, but even so, there's like almost a $20 difference between pricing of those cards. So you kind of know this will come down, right? Secondly, it's real soft right now due to the fact that there's high speculation that it could show up in Modern Masters 2017. Official spoilers begin Monday. So over the course of the next 2 weeks, we'll know for certain if this is going to be in the set or not. And then I think the market will respond. If it's in the set, the card will continue to be soft, probably decline a little more, especially the Modern Masters versions will probably decline even more so, at least temporarily. And if it's not in the set, then expect it to stabilize a little bit and perhaps even increase at that point. So that'll be one to watch. I mean, it's important to note that this is still a huge modern card. I mean, it sees a lot of play. It's one of the most played creatures in the format, and it still sees play in other places like Legacy too. So the card, even though it has looked soft recently, it's really not due to gameplay. It's just due to the other factors. Coming in at number 4, Jace Prodigy, down 217 to 34.19. I think this will continue to creep down a little bit. It had a big spike a few months ago, and I think it's going to stabilize off that spike. It is seeing play. However, one of the places where it's most popular is Frontier. And I think the reason it spiked a few months back is there was a lot of attention on Frontier. And the folks playing Frontier are still playing Frontier, but you're not hearing quite as much about it. You're not seeing all the articles being released and everything like that. And until Wizards decides, or if they decide to support that format, I think it's going to be hard to keep the attention and the spotlight on that format, which means, for Jace anyway, I think he'll continue to tick down over time. Coming in at number 3, Retract from Darksteel, down 222 to 1150. All right, so Pure Steel Paladin, a lot of folks were brewing this, trying to really push it into a top tier deck in Modern. It's had some marginal success, but it just hasn't broke through like you'd like it to see at this point. And because of that, I think you're going to start to see a lot of the cards in the deck start to go down, and that's what we're seeing here with Retract this week. Coming in at number 2, Chalice of the Void, down $307 to $60.45. This is the Mirrodin version. This card spiked super hard a couple weeks ago, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that we were coming upon the 2GP weekend, and a lot of people were speculating that they were going to be playing a lot of Pure Steel Paladin matchups, so they wanted these for the sideboard. Folks took to the marketplace, picked them up. They started to dry up really quick. A lot of people panicked, and the price just shot up about $10 just overnight. It was kind of crazy. Well, whenever a card shoots up like that, guess what? All the people that have them in their trade binders and stuff decide to throw them out on eBay, what have you, and the price settles back down. That's what we're seeing now. So the big spike from a couple weeks ago has settled in. It's still a great card, still a fantastic sideboard card. I would say this is still a $50 to $55 card regardless of what happens with the format in Pure Steel Paladin. Even if that deck ends up fading away and disappearing, people will still want these things. It's still a fantastic card. It's even better in other formats like Legacy. It's restricted in Vintage, but really good there as well. So yes, it'll be a great card. A lot of its value, though, at least in the short term, is going to depend on whether it shows up in Modern Masters 2017. Coming in at number 1, Bloom Tender, down $4 to $29.63. And like I said, over the last couple weeks, yes, this will continue to decline. It's a great commander card, but the issue is this saw a lot of extra attention due to a brew from MTG Goldfish. And, you know, Saffron Olive does incredible brews. I mentioned that over the last couple weeks, and his brews impact the market. And when they don't follow through to become like tier 1 decks, then the attention moves on and the cards come back down. That's what you're seeing here. All right, let's move on to the cards that gained value this week. Coming in number 5, Karn Liberated, up 206 to 51.61. Tron's real popular right now, and there's Eldrazi Tron that has really caught the attention of a lot of players recently. So maybe some folks who weren't playing Tron in the past have found a reason to play Tron. So there's definitely an interest in that deck right now. Coming in at number 4, Noxious Revival, up 221 to 410. This is a Pure Steel Paladin card. However, I think the reason it's going up more so than even Pure Steel Paladin decks is the fact that it's a key part of a lot of Vengeance decks now. And I think this will continue to be a staple in those Vengeance decks and will continue to increase in price. So if you don't have a play set of these and you can find them out there under $5, I don't think it's a bad pickup at this point. Coming in at number 3 is Mishra's Bauble, up 276 to 21.53. This is one expensive uncommon, I'll tell you, from Cold Snap. And it's just seeing a lot of modern play showing up in Obzon decks. And Again, the deck that was the darling of the weekend, for at least if you watched the coverage, it felt that way. Death Shadow. Again, it wasn't like a super dominant deck or anything like that, but it just got a lot of attention. And because of that, the cards in it are going up this week. This will retract a little bit, I think, when the hype subsides. And it remains to be seen, will this show up in Modern Masters 2017? If this shows up as, say, an uncommon, you're going to be looking at a pretty big drop in this card real soon. Coming in at number 2, as you could imagine, Death Shadow, up $8 to $15.48. Again, there's a lot of attention on this card right now just because of the success it saw this weekend on camera. And this will snap back a little bit. I mean, this is a real big spike. You want to be careful buying on the high end of these spikes, as always. But again, I think the card was maybe a little undervalued going into the weekend anyway. So where it will go down in value, I really don't see it going back down to below $10 or maybe even $12. I think it's going to start maintaining its value at this point. Coming in at number 1, Basilisk Collar, up $9.05 to $20.35. This card continues to spike. It's a huge part of that Eldrazi Tron deck I mentioned earlier, combos great with World Breaker and Walking Ballista, and because of that, it's garnered a lot of attention recently. So folks that are maybe already bought into Tron and just want to convert to Eldrazi Tron, they might not need to pick up a whole lot of cards, but this is one that they would have to pick up. And I think that's why you're seeing some of the spike here. There's just a lot of attention. Again, we're at the top end, and actually this is already starting to come back down, but we're at the top end of a spike here. So you don't really want to buy in at $20. This will start coming down. It will snap back a little bit. Again, I do think it was a very undervalued card before the spike. It's not going to go back to where it was, but it will come down off $20 a little. All right, let's talk about Legacy and the cards that lost value this week. Coming in at number 5 is Living Plane, down $5.62 to $89.38. This card has been steadily increasing, so we're just getting a little bit of normal stabilization this week. Number 4, Singing Tree, down $5.87 to $28. Okay, so these Arabian Nights cards have been pretty hot lately. This is one that's still very, very affordable. And if you are someone that wants to collect, I don't know, just some Arabian Nights stuff or just some rare things from Magic's history, this is not a bad card to pick up. If you can find this for under $30, I'd probably pick up a copy just to have for my collection. This will go up. Like, a lot of these cards have really taken off. Like Island of Wak Wak is a great example. About 6 months ago, this was around $30, and I was saying, you know what? If you can find an Island of Wak Wak for $30, I'd pick it up. Now it's about 120 or 150, something like that for the cards. So some of these cards just ignite and they get really hot, or they become targets of a buyout. So this is a decently priced one. Number 3, Badlands. This is the unlimited version, down $7.13 to $162.13 this week. Number 2, Diamond Valley, down $11.99 to $180 this week. Another example of one of these really hot Arabian Nights cards. This one's stabilizing down slightly this week. Coming in at number 1, Unlimited Tropical Island, down $30.56 to $307.45. All right, let's look at the cards that have gained value this week. Coming in at number 5, Unlimited Plateau, up $12.82 to $167.10. Number 4, Chains of Mistopheles, up $15.01 to $385.64. This card actually spiked pretty hard a few months back. It looked like it was probably a target of a buyout, and then it stabilized back down as copies got reintroduced into the market. But again, a lot of times when that happens and you see like that big drop, it does seem to attract some buyers' attention, and then you get another bump shortly after, and I think that's what we're seeing here. Coming in number 3 is Argivian Archaeologist, up $16.94 this week to $45.49. Okay, that's a pretty big spike out of nowhere for this card, so it's probably a buyout or at least some sort of market manipulation. However, this is actually a very playable card in some formats like Commander. Like, this is a decent card. It sometimes gets overlooked because it's a 1/1 for 3. But paying 2 white and tapping to get an artifact from your graveyard back to your hand is really not that bad of an ability. And this is a really old Magic card. It's an Antiquities card that actually back in the day had a lot of attention on it. When I used to play back in, I'm thinking 94, 95, there were a lot of players looking for this card even at that time. So I'm a little surprised it stayed as low as it did over the years. Again, if you can find copies of this, like maybe under $40 or maybe even under $50, like, I wouldn't be upset about picking one of those up. I feel like this is another one of those cards that has potential to grow over time. Coming in number 2 is Moat, up $33.25 to $582.08. This is another one that's an example, kind of like Chains a few moments ago, that it was bought out, it spiked really hard, then it came back down recently, and now it's starting to creep back up again. I think players that thought they missed their opportunity when the card was bought out and spiked real hard, maybe jumping on the lower priced version of it at this point. So I think you're seeing a little bit of that rebound here. And coming in at number 1, the Tabernacle at Pentravale, up $40.69 to $1,280.63. So the Tabernacle feels like it's on here every week. I will say $12.80 is probably on the higher end of its value range. I think typically a fair price for this card is usually more around $1,200. All right, having said that, that's the Market Watch for this week. I'm expecting a real interesting week this coming week because we're going to find out what is in Modern Masters 2017. So there's going to be 2 weeks of spoilers that officially start on Monday. Now, we know 3 cards that are in the set already. They haven't had a huge impact on value at this point. A couple of them were already lower valued cards with Domri Raid as well as Stoic Angel. Grizzlebrand, of course, was the 3rd card they showed us, but we don't know what rarities officially they are at yet, although you could probably guess and most likely be correct. But at this point, it hasn't been official. We'll start getting official spoilers very, very soon now. I'll report on those every day. I'll do a compilation of spoilers that have come out. And then next weekend, my plan is to still do a Market Watch. I'm not sure if it's going to fall on Saturday or Sunday. It just depends on the rate the spoilers come out. But we will definitely be back next weekend to talk about what's happening in the market. So until then, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.